This is Jordan with Intuitive Mountain Biking, and today I'm going to teach you a method in which you can train your body on how to progressively and incrementally learn to ride skinny things. This is all part of my Go Slow to Get Fast series.
Okay, so what is it that we're doing mechanically on the bike? Yes, we're steering the front wheel to keep the bike on the skinny. We're also leaning our body left and right, but additionally, we're also leaning the bike independently underneath us in order to maintain balance and stay on the skinny. Another thing you'll notice is the weight bias front to rear, that in improving balance, sometimes you'll bias your weight rear, sometimes you'll move it forward. You'll notice here that I have dropped a foot down to the 6 o'clock position. And what this does is it lowers your center of gravity and it can improve balance in a lot of situations. All right, you'll see this ratcheting that I'm doing with my forward foot. This is downward ratcheting. What this does is, rather than a full rotation of the cranks, by ratcheting the foot downwards, you can still control your forward momentum. And in some tricky situations where you can't, either because of timing or something in the way, where you can't get a full revolution in, this can help keep your momentum going. Okay, so level 1. Let's start with just a simple painted line. And you ride that painted line as best you can, staying on top of it. This could be a parking lot. This is actually a pathway along the river. But anywhere where there's a painted line, and you do this frequently, I still do this. It's not like a remedial thing that you ever stop doing. I still, every time I find a painted line, man, my eyes go to it and I just try to ride it. Again, very low consequence to this. Here's another one. This is sort of the gray delineated cement line that I'm riding. It's just getting you started. It's improving your balance, and there is zero consequence for falling off this line, right? It's completely flat, so you don't have to worry about hurting yourself. Now here, I'm going to combine this line here that I'm riding with a handlebar end tap, which is a kind of an entry to the track stand video that you should check out. In track standing, these are sort of the two beginning levels. Here's the tire tap. So I'm combining now a couple of skills. I'm combining the ride skinnies, by finding this gray line. I'm combining that with one of the track stand pieces of the puzzle. So anytime you can combine these skills, it's really going to level you up. Okay, level 2, an embedded, what's sometimes called a mower curb. Now these are great because, again, very low consequence, but it's giving you a little bit more feedback when you fall off this line. Of course here, zero consequence. If you fall off, it's grass, it's soft. But this is a flat area, makes it pretty easy to practice on, and I see these everywhere. Okay, as a variant, if you want to increase the difficulty, if you find an incline and a decline, you can practice going up a mow curb on the incline and the decline. Makes it a little harder. All right, this is an embedded parking curb, and this one I found at a park. Really easy to get off and on. It's a little bit more raised, so there's still no consequence to falling off, but it makes it a little more difficult to stay on. Level 3, ride a half curb. Now we've taken away one side of a mow strip, and there's still grass and level on one side, but the other side is a bit of a drop off. And this messes with your mind a little bit, but there's still not much consequence to falling off of one of these because you're what, 5-6 inches off of the curb. So this is great. Practice going one way, practice going the other way. Sometimes you'll be a little bit better with the drop off on your left side, sometimes on your right. Okay, let's not show off. And these are actually really easy to find where the entry and exits are ramped. So I see these all over. Used to go to lunch with the boys at work and just find these things all over the place. All right, as a variant, if you find one that's curved, now this is where we start to see that your front wheel and your rear wheel track differently. So your rear wheel travels less of an arc, and you might have to make a hop adjustment in order to get that rear wheel to stay on. Here's another curvy, wavy half curb. So this one's great. This little girl was really excited to watch me. And you'll notice coming back, I get a little distracted and I don't quite make it. But again, this is another variant to make it more challenging and improve your balance. Okay, level 4, ride a full skinny. So this is not a trail with a wooden feature. This is simply a raised parking curb that is maybe 5 inches off the ground. One thing you can practice too is getting on and off. You'll notice if you give it a pedal stroke, you can kind of pop off the end rather than rolling. This is a nice variant I found where there's a little bit harder because these are spaced awkwardly to get off and on. But it's good practice. And anytime you can vary, something a little bit different, you're improving your skill. Okay, this one was a little tougher and there was a lot of pressure building. People started watching in my mind. So you can also use natural features. So this is a root and it took me, well, you didn't see the 39 other tries, but it took me a while to get this one going in both directions. Don't be afraid to kind of roll the bike, get off the bike and roll it on the feature to see how the front wheel will act differently than the rear. Your front wheel has trail, and so it pivots differently than the rear wheel, which tends to be a little bit more stable by the time it gets there. So this feature, it took a while to get it in both directions. So I gained a little confidence by going back in the one direction and then finally nailed it. Okay, so here's a real trail. This is Ogden, Utah, the Birdsong Trail. And this is my go slow to get fast. So see how slow, let's have a contest and see how slow you can go across a feature. Then, once you've built all that in, if you're going fast, your body naturally adjusts. Okay, level 5, ride skinny corners. Now the 90-degree corner, this is pretty tough, but I've found a Mow strip and there is very little consequence. So you'll notice I struggle with this one. It takes me quite a while to get it. But what you have to do here is some brake work and some hopping and some weight biasing forward to rear. But I want you to see this little girl. This little girl is doing on foot what I'm doing on a bike. This is what I'm talking about, intuitive mountain biking. She just saw this line and she wanted to balance and walk along it. And that was so inspiring to me that really it gave me, quite the gumption to nail it on this last try. So you'll see the rear wheel hopping in order to get it all the way around, a couple hops, and then a foot off and lean the bike. Okay, so inspired by that little girl, I remembered, sometimes we get off our bike and we walk the line. You do this on a trail, maybe a particularly technical section, or maybe a feature like this that you want to ride on. And you know what? Don't be afraid to get off your bike and walk it. It helps you mentally, but it also improves your balance in general. Talking about that intuitiveness. And you know what? You didn't see the other 139 times, but finally nailed it. And you know what? If you're doing it in one direction, man, I have a weak side, but you know what? I'm going to do it to the right as well. And nailed it. All right, once you really start to build these skills, you actually have this different worldview. I call it like a mountain bike worldview glasses. And you put those glasses on, and sure enough, everywhere you look around town, everywhere you look on the trail, there's little tiny features. And I was just riding along to, I don't know, go get food or snacks or something. And I just saw this and said, I have to ride it. I have to. It was like made for me to ride this thing. And yes, at this point there is a bit more consequence. You can still jump off your bike and land. You might break something, most likely just scrapes and bruises. But boy, is it fun. So I encourage you to look around, look at the world through new eyes. Put on your mountain bike glasses.
Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you want to see the video on how to track stand, you can link to that here. Thank you so much for watching. Get out and ride your bike.